My name is Michael Vidal. I'm the Director of R&D and Product Owner here at EZFacility. And in today's webinar, we're going to be talking about SmartWaiver, or the integration that we've completed with SmartWaiver. So I'm going to go ahead and click into my next slide here and just talk about the agenda for today. So we're going to do an overview of SmartWaiver. We're going to talk about setting up SmartWaiver in your administration side, exploring SmartWaiver from the client's perspective, and answer any questions that you might have. So within that same questions box where you typed in yes for the audio check, you can start asking your questions. I'll answer those towards the end of today's webinar. Today's webinar, I did allocate an hour worth of time. We did the webinar yesterday. It took about 30 minutes, so it is going to be pretty quick webinar depending on the number of questions that we get. So we probably won't need to utilize the whole hour, but we're probably going to look more around a 30-minute mark or so. It'll take about 5 minutes or so to go through the demonstration and then probably answer some questions afterwards. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let me just switch my screen to my TMS account. All right, so everybody should now see my EZFacility schedule here. So as I mentioned, I wanted to talk about an overview of SmartWaiver. So for those of you that don't know, SmartWaiver is an electronic or digital waiver system, and that's exactly what they specialize in, is handling waivers, contracts, agreements, things of that nature. So most of you may be asking how this is different than our document system, and it's a little bit more advanced than what we offer, right? So we built a specific system to accommodate your needs as far as basic agreements and waivers and contracts. And I'm not trying to downplay our document system. I think it works well for many of our customers, but for those of you looking for a more advanced waiver system, SmartWaiver is who you want to go with, right? So we decided to move forward with SmartWaiver because they specialize in handling waivers, and instead of us trying to reinvent the wheel or continuously building out on our document system, we wanted to partner with somebody who is more familiar with waivers, and this is what they do day to day. So that's where SmartWaiver came about. Again, that could all be handled electronically. I'm going to click into the admin section here. I'm not going to go into too much detail about SmartWaiver in terms of the setup and completion creation of waivers. I will talk about the integration piece and how to activate your account, but I just kind of wanted to highlight some of the flexibility here. So you'll kind of see this wizard that allows you to go through creating this waiver, inserting the agreement text in the body here, as well as adding additional fields or information you want to capture. Maybe you need them to initial in a specific part of the waiver, add an additional signature box, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of flexibility there, and you can customize down to the participant information you're looking for, what fields you want to capture, as well as any additional options and additional waiver fields, colors, and then publishing that waiver. In addition to that, once it's been published, you then can add that to your website. You can send the link via an email. You can set up a kiosk on a tablet or a mobile device. So that's one of the big benefits that they offer is a kiosk, right? So being able to set up the kiosk for new client signups and sending them over to the kiosk to enter their information and sign that waiver all in one shot to avoid kind of stalling your lines of customers there and just kind of sending those new customers for the signups electronically and get rid of those paper forms as well. And then when that waiver gets submitted, it will get synced into your EZFacility side. So first I want to walk through the activation piece. So I'm going to click back into EZFacility. I'm going to click into the administration. And on the left-hand side, you should see the new SmartWaiver label here. So you can either scroll down or use the quick navigation by clicking here and then clicking into the section. So by default, you will not see the SmartWaiver item there. You will need to reach out to your account manager, and they'll work with you on getting the SmartWaiver module activated for your account. There is an additional integration fee to get it set up and activated, but once that has been taken care of with your account manager, you will now be able to set up your SmartWaiver account. In addition to that, or activate your SmartWaiver account. In addition to that, you will need to create a SmartWaiver account. You can go through the SmartWaiver website and create an account on your own. I don't believe you actually have to call and speak to any of their sales reps there. You should be able to just register directly online. And if I'm not mistaken, they do offer a 30-day trial, so if you're interested in trying it out and seeing how it works for you before deciding to move forward with it, that is something that you can do as well. Once you do have the SmartWaiver account created, you just want to obtain your API key. We do have a user guide on our support portal. You can just search for SmartWaiver. That'll walk you through on how to complete this activation step, which I've already done here today. And it will also give you a link to where you create the API key. When you're creating the API key, you may see an API v3 and an API v4 key. You want to go with the API v4 key. Once you've obtained that key, make sure you copy it. You can save it somewhere. Make sure you do save it somewhere secure because once you do close that page from the SmartWaiver side, that key is no longer visible. So you're going to want to copy it right away as soon as it gets generated and even paste it into here and get it set up. So if you do generate that key before you've activated the module within EZFacility, make sure that you save the key somewhere securely that you can obtain later so you can activate your account within EZFacility. Once you do activate the account, so again, you just want to enter the key, and then there's an email validation here. So this is yes and no. And basically what this is going to look at, kind of look at is whether or not when a waiver gets submitted, are you going to require that they validate their email address before the waiver gets officially completed or 100% complete. So I've set it to no just for the purpose of today's demonstration. If you do set it to yes, keep in mind that once a waiver is submitted, it won't hit this URL, which is essentially a webhook. I won't get into the technical terms of that, but it's essentially kind of a listening device and saying, at what point do I need to sync this waiver into the EZFacility account? So if you have this set to yes, it will wait until the customer validates or verifies their email from the email address from the email they received after the waiver was submitted before it will be synced into EZFacility. So keep that in mind when you're setting up this preference here and deciding on whether or not you want to go with yes or no. I know SmartWaiver typically recommends the yes option in terms of email validation, but it is up to you. You may be validating emails in a different way. You also could leverage our email validation system as well. That's kind of up to you on what you decide to do in terms of email validation. But I went ahead and activated this account. I've already synced the client over as well, but I pre-filled some information here and just going to sync it through and kind of just show you a quick glimpse into the client's experience. So some of the controls, logos, you can even add your privacy policy here as well if you decide to do so. This is the body of my agreement. I kept it, just kind of short and simple here, but again, you can expand on this as much as you see fit for your business and what information you need them to agree to. And then you have the ability to do adult and or minors, so it's up to you. For the purpose of today's demonstration, I'm just going to choose the adult option, and I filled in some information here. You will have the sign option. In this case, since I've already signed it, just basically the same pop-up window that you see here for edit or signing initially is essentially the same, except the signature. They can check off to receive email notifications, things like that, and then the final electronic signature consent. And then they would just select the agree to this document. Hopefully this doesn't time out on me. I have had this page open for a while now. Okay, so in this case, since I did not have the email validation set to yes, my waiver is now completed. We should see that client synced into EZFacility. So I have John Waiver here synced into my EZFacility account now. So let me just go into his account. Just give me 1 second here. Sorry, I just needed to refresh that page to see Jane Waiver, which is who I just submitted here. John Waiver was the original one that I did, but now we can see both of their both of these clients added into the system. So one of the questions that you may ask is, well, what about your existing clients that you're now getting a waiver signed today that may already be in your EZFacility database? So we'll do some checks and some validation and verification, if you will, to try and find a match for the information that's being submitted. So if the information that's being sent to EZFacility matches an existing client, then we'll just sync the waiver to that client's account. If the data does not match, we'll create a new client in the system and sync the waiver to the new client that was created. In the event that there is more than one match found, we'll send an email to the admins of your EZFacility account and kind of let you decide how you want to handle those duplicates that may have been found in the event there is more than one duplicate. At that point, we're really not sure how you want to handle that, so we found the best method was to notify you and kind of help you along the process of merging those clients, or kind of just deciding on how you want to handle those duplicates. I'm going to go ahead now and click into just Jane Waiver account here. And so this client was created from the submission of the waiver. I had very, very bare minimum fields added, such as first name, last name, and phone number here. However, within SmartWaiver, you can add address and city and state and zip and a couple of other fields here. So most of the fields that you see here will be synced from the waiver side. So keep that in mind. Just for the demo today, I kept the fields very bare minimum, but it's honestly up to you on what you decide, what fields you'd like to have in your waiver. So when that information gets synced, where you find the waiver will be in the Documents tab. So to kind of avoid extending out the tabs and just running out of real estate here, we wanted to include them into one section. And this is also if you're using our document system and alongside of the SmartWaiver system, you can see both of those agreements all in one section. So going into the document section, we'll see our SmartWaivers listed here. If you did have a document or EZFacility document signed by this client, it would also be listed above SmartWaivers in a different table there. But what we can see is some information about the waiver, when it was signed, when it expires. I'm going to highlight a little bit more about expiration dates here in a second. The title of that waiver, is this person a signer? Is it a participant? And how the number of participants, and is there any minors on this waiver as well? And the view option here will generate the PDF. So if you ever need to get a copy of it, you don't have to go to SmartWaiver to get a copy of this client's waiver. And you could also email a copy of that waiver to the client directly from EZFacility. So there might be some additional information that you may need, which is when you would want to go into your SmartWaiver account and you can view your signed waivers. So we should see Jane and John here. So both of them are listed. We can see some of the basic information. Clicking on their name will give you some more information about them. You can add some tags. So there's a little bit more you can do from the SmartWaiver side, but what you have within EZFacility is enough to see if they've signed it, and a little bit more information about the waiver, such as number of participants and minors. Something to add in the event that there is multiple participants, whether it be minor or adults, all of those will be created or synced to existing clients if they do exist in your database in EZFacility. So for example, if I'm signing a waiver and I'm also adding my child on the waiver because we're both going to the same gym, let's say, both of us, if we are brand new clients, would be created, and we would also be mapped. The relationship would be set automatically for you. So within the personal tab here, I would see that I am the parent of, and then my child's name would be listed here. So we take care of that for you in the event that we're both new clients being created at the same time. And then in addition to some other automation rules, the waiver status here will automatically be checked once we receive the first signed waiver, or any time a signed waiver comes through and it is active, that box will be checked automatically. And so as I mentioned just a few minutes ago, I was going to talk a little bit about the expiration dates. So in addition to it being checked automatically, it will be unchecked automatically when the waiver expires. So you do have the ability to set the expiration date on the waiver. Once that waiver has expired, it will uncheck the waiver box here. Keep in mind, there cannot be another active waiver. In that case, you could, let's say, have two different waivers. One is active and then one expires. Because that client does still have an active waiver and there's only one waiver checkbox, it will remain checked because there's at least one active waiver. But when all waivers have expired, that box will automatically be unchecked. So I know that was kind of a big thing for a lot of people, to ensure that this waiver box is being checked and unchecked based on active or expired waivers, so you can get those kind of quick views of who signed waiver and who hasn't by utilizing this column here, as well as looking at any scheduled reservations to seeing if they've signed a waiver, as well as any group registrations as well, and being able to check if these clients have signed your waivers or not. So that pretty much kind of highlights SmartWaiver. It's a very simple integration. As I mentioned, it was going to be a very quick demonstration. Really not much to it from the activation to usage. Keep in mind the setup and creation of those waivers all happens through SmartWaiver. EZFacility is just kind of taking that data or that information and syncing it into your account, so you're able to view that information at your fingertips without having to go back and forth between the two different systems. So so after you've created the waivers that you need, maybe set up your kiosk, put the links on your websites, however you decide to move forward with that, once that's completed, it's really just syncing information at that point, and you should be able to find those agreements in your client's account by viewing the Documents tab. And then if you do need any advanced reporting, at the moment you would need to go into the SmartWaiver application. However, we'd love to hear your feedback around what additional information you may want to see regarding smart waivers, whether it be a report, whether it be more information on the table that you see in the smart waiver grid here. So again, don't hesitate to send that feedback if you decide to move forward and use the smart waiver integration. So I'm going to, just a reminder for those questions, if you want to go ahead and start submitting those if you haven't. I think I see a couple have been submitted there, so I'm going to read through those and start answering some questions. Again, it's a very straightforward integration, so it didn't take much time to go through the demonstration today. Let me just go ahead and take a look at some of these questions. One thing I wanted to point out is one of our customers has been using SmartWaiver for, I believe, 4+ years now. They are a huge advocate and have stressed and to us that they are more than willing to answer any questions about their integration. So if you're interested in speaking to an existing customer of ours who has been using SmartWaiver for quite some time now and how it's been working for them, they have volunteered to answer any questions for you. So shout out to Centennial Gun Club. They've been great assistance with this, and we appreciate you guys answering any questions. So if anyone is interested in speaking with them, we'll be happy to get you in touch, and they could answer some questions for you as well. So I'm just going to go into the question here. So, give me a second to read through this. So this one is asking about creating a kiosk system for entry into EZFacility system. So creating a personal page in the waiver, therefore creating an entirely electronic account, sign-up system for clients. So if I understand the question correctly, then yes, you can set up a kiosk. So within the SmartWaiver application here, there should be a section to set up your kiosk. So that's an app that you would install on either an iOS device or an Android device. Once you've installed that app, you've now set up your kiosk for a station that your clients can go to and fill out their information. So what we saw here basically in the process that I went through can happen on a kiosk. Right? So you can set up that kiosk and have those clients fill in their information and sign those waivers at some kiosk station that you may set up. So that is absolutely possible. So regardless of where you set up the waiver to be filled out, that information gets synced in the EZFacility. So I would, recommend going through some of the controls and the options that SmartWaiver has, and decide how you want to proceed, and maybe use them both. Set them on your website, create the kiosk, or email them the link. However you decide to do that, that information will be synced into EZFacility. Let me just read through the next question here. Correct. The next one is I think more of a statement than a question, but I will just kind of highlight it. So it's saying that basically creating a SmartWaiver creates an EZFacility account. So yes, once the client submits that waiver, to create them in EZFacility or sync them to an existing account. However, you would need to create the membership by using the membership tab or clicking the new contract button from within the personal information section here at the bottom. So the SmartWaiver integration isn't going to create the memberships, but we'd love to hear some feedback around that. There's a lot of times working with APIs, there are some limitations, but there are also the ability to do some additional stuff when the creation of those clients are happening, maybe based on specific fields or options within the waiver. So it is something that we can look at in the future of having things like packages or memberships automatically created, but we would really want to hear some feedback on the best way to proceed with that in the future. So I would love to hear some feedback around that. So something that was highlighted around the email validation, Centennial Gun Club mentioned that they only validate emails for the online access. So I believe they're referencing when they're having the waiver submitted via the web versus the kiosk. So in the kiosk, they don't do email validation. And so how they're able to control that is from a waiver level. So although you can set the email validation from the EZFacility admin side, when you're creating the waivers, you can specify whether or not you want this specific waiver to have email validation, which will override your TMS settings. So keep that in mind as you're going through and setting up your waivers. You do have the control on a per waiver basis on email validation. So it appears that for their case, they're doing it for the online version, but not the kiosk version, which I would agree with, and it makes more sense that way because they're physically present at your location and probably may or may not have access to their email to do that validation. So it makes sense to set it up that way. So the next question asks about when a new client signs a
SmartWaiver, an facility will create them as a new client in EZFacility. So yes, kind of highlighting that again. So just if they're a brand new client, or really just any waiver that is being submitted, there's a check that's happening, right? So we're taking that data and we're checking your EZFacility database and we're looking for a match. If we find a match, we're going to sync the waiver to the existing client. If we don't find a match, we're going to create a new client. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're getting those waivers submitted. We're looking for a match before we either create or sync to an existing one. So it will handle for both scenarios there. All right, it looks like this next one is my last question. So if you can think of any other ones, go ahead and submit it in there. Oh, just got one popped up. So I got two more questions here, but if you do have any other questions while I'm answering these, feel free to pop those in there. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap up the webinar afterwards. So let me just take a look at this next one here. This is a good question. It asks, does this link with the mobile app? Can the customer fill this in on their phones? So if you're referring to the MemberMe mobile app, then technically yes, you can create a web module for the branded app, just not to be confused with the aggregate. So if you are using the branded app, you can create a web module that allows you to insert a link, a web link. So in this case, you can probably take the waiver URL, pop that into the mobile app and have them sign it directly through the mobile app. The other option is emailing it, and they access the email from their mobile phone. They should still be able to fill out the waiver directly from their phone. But for those of you using the branded app, you can insert a link and have that link open the SmartWaiver. If you're not using the branded app and you're interested in knowing more about the branded app, feel free to reach out to your account manager. If you don't know who that is, reach out to support. They will be more than happy to discuss the app with you and getting that set up for you. And for those of you that are using the aggregate app, you can still use the branded app. You can just get converted and created over to a branded app. So if you're interested in doing that, you can do the same thing by reaching out to your account manager or contacting support if you don't know who that is.
The next question asks about pricing for SmartWaiver. Unfortunately, I do not know their pricing tiers. I believe they start out somewhere around the $49.99 mark. I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me on it. I believe on their website they may have a pricing page that lists out their starting price all the way up to maybe an enterprise where you can get custom pricing. So check that out. They're at smartwaiver.com, and I think there's a pricing tab on there. They might also have a contact us tab that somebody can assist you with. Thank you, Centennial Gun Club. They did just confirm that you can access the waiver from the branded app. So if you're interested in getting the branded app set up or the mobile app set up, you can. So somebody here just confirmed that SmartWaiver starts at $15 a month. So there you go, even cheaper than what I expected. So and even better for you guys. So if you're interested, you can just go to their site. Like I said, I believe you can register an account without actually talking to any salespeople there. So it should be quick and painless. And they may offer a 30-day trial as well for you to get familiar and used to it and see if it's going to work out for you. All right, so that was the last question. I'll just give one more minute here for any questions to come through, but just a quick recap of that. Excuse me. To get started with SmartWaiver, 1, you're going to want to make sure you do have a SmartWaiver account. 2, you're going to want to make sure you talk to your EZFacility account rep so they can get that module set up for you. There is a small integration fee from the EZFacility side, so you can kind of talk to your account manager about that. They'll work out the details with you and getting that set up for you in terms of the module being activated, and then you can activate the account as I showed you here today in the administration page. So the integration fee is $10 a month from the EZFacility side, and then you have the SmartWaiver fee, which is I believe starts around $15 a month according to one of the clients in today's session, webinar today. So that's something that you can discuss with your account manager. They can work out the details with you and get the SmartWaiver application enabled for you. Oh, I just got another question popped in here. Let's see what it is. This is a good question. I will unfortunately need to double check this one here to verify if this information will be synced. I want to say there's a chance that it does not, but the question is, SmartWaiver has an auto photo capture feature, and will that integrate with Easy as well? My initial answer I'm going to go with is no, but I'll double check that to see if that was part of the original integration or if it's even possible with the SmartWaiver APIs. It might be a limitation from an API standpoint. So I'll confirm that and see if there's something we can do there to make that happen if we're not already. I don't believe that we are syncing any photos. And again, it could just be from an API limitation. So I'll double check on that and get back to you with more information around photos syncs. All right, I don't see any more questions there, but if you do have any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Contact support, your account manager will be more than happy to answer those questions for you. In addition to those questions, as you know, we're always listening for your feedback, so don't hesitate to submit that over to us as well, and on how we can improve SmartWaiver if you decide to move forward with the integration, or if you just have some initial feedback based on what you saw today before moving forward, definitely let us know what that is. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to improve on the integration to really ensure that this is going to work well for you and your business. So again, don't hesitate to submit those feedbacks. Submit the feedback or any questions that you have. So once again, thank you for joining today's webinar. Reach out to us if you're interested, and we'll go from there. Thanks again, and have a great day.